Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's another all new news runner that we've got in store for you today. Not much really in terms of news. We're just going to be mainly talking today about the Premier League action that took place upon its return this weekend, and also some news regarding maybe a surprising transfer for Liverpool next year. But before we go any further in talking about those stories, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe for new. Both things will always be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's go back talking about some of the biggest headlines from the world of football. So just a quick note on the story that I talked about a couple of days ago in a video that I made regarding the Brazilian Premier League player situation, in which basically the Brazilian FA threatened to ban players that were Brazilian from playing for their clubs this weekend after the Premier League clubs failed to release them to go and play for Brazil across the international break. Finally, some common sense stepped in, some common sense was made, and a smart decision was made that the Brazilian, or South American players should I say, for the rest of that particular continent's players in the Premier League can play this weekend and have played this weekend, some of them so far. So just a quick word on that common sense finally prevailed in that situation, and that there will be no fines or suspensions or forfeits of any sort of kind going forward this weekend. So yeah, well done for that. But yes, the Premier League has returned this weekend following what seemed to feel like a very long international break, but it finally returned, and it kicked off with, of course, a lunchtime fixture, and that was Tottenham versus Crystal Palace. And it was a bad day at the office for Tottenham, as they got absolutely battered by Crystal Palace, with the scoreline being 3-0 in Palace's favour. The game was about 10 minutes or so into the second half when Japhet Tanganga saw a red card for a second bookable offence, and from there Palace took complete and full control of the game. Ben Davies' handball meant that Palace were awarded a penalty, which Wilfried Zaha converted from 12 yards. Palace continued to dominate and eventually put the game to bed completely when Odsonne Edouard came off the bench and made a very quick first impression to his new club, to his new fan base, to his new supporters, by taking mere seconds in scoring his first goal in a Crystal Palace shirt to double Palace's lead. And then later on in the game, he also added a second goal to his own tally and a third to Palace's overall, as Patrick Vieira secured his first victory as Crystal Palace manager. And of course, being an Arsenal legend, what a team to get his first Premier League victory against. A bad day at the office for Spurs overall. Very poor performance. Red card aside, Spurs just didn't look at it even with 11 men. So to have 10 men and still lose the game, yeah, it was poor on them, but full credit to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace were very good in this game, fully deserved the victory. Elsewhere, it was the perfect return for Cristiano Ronaldo, as Manchester United ran out as 4-1 winners over Newcastle. On the stroke of half-time, Ronaldo marked his return to Old Trafford by scoring the opening goal of the game, before Javi Manquillo equalised for the Magpies in the second half. Ronaldo put United back in front before his fellow countryman Bruno Fernandes added a third to United's tally, a very good goal at that. And then substitute Jesse Lingard rounded off the performance and the game by scoring United's fourth. Of course, going into this game, all eyes were on Cristiano Ronaldo, and he certainly did deliver on a big stage yet again. Yes, it was against Newcastle, their relegation candidates. Not many people gave them a chance before a ball was even kicked today, but it was nice for Ronaldo to get the return for himself and return to United, return to the Premier League, and of course get his couple of goals and secure the 3 points for United overall. Also today, Arsenal finally picked up their first victory of the season. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was a difference maker on the day, as the Gunners came away 1-0 winners against Norwich. So some good news for the Gunners and their supporters for a change. Manchester City were also 1-0 winners today against Leicester. Bernardo Silva scoring for Pep Guardiola's side there. Wolves waited 4 games for a goal, and then 2 came along at once as they beat Watford by 2-0. A late Leandro Trossard goal dealt Brentford their first defeat in the Premier League, as Brighton came away with all 3 points in that game. And Southampton held West Ham to a goalless stalemate as Mikel Antonio got sent off in that game. Elsewhere in Saturday's evening fixture, we saw Chelsea take on Villa, in which the Blues came out as 3-0 winners. Romelu Lukaku opened the scoring, Mateo Kovacic doubled Chelsea's lead, and Lukaku finished it off in injury time in what was a very, very good result by Chelsea. It wasn't a perfect performance, I might add. 3-0 does sort of flatter Chelsea a little bit, but Chelsea were very, very clinical, whilst Villa did attempt to attack Chelsea. They attempted to unnerve them and unsettle them, but ultimately they couldn't take their chances when they fell to them, and Chelsea's defending was just superior in that aspect. And it's a very good 3 points for Chelsea, and of course matches what Manchester United and Manchester City had obviously done earlier in that day. Like I said, there's not much going on in the news right now. Club football is just returning again following the international period, and of course the transfer window is shut, but there is some transfer news that of course would have caught my eye because it concerns my club of Liverpool. And there is talk about a possible move next summer for one Jude Bellingham. The story has gathered momentum in recent days, with sources in Germany claiming that Liverpool are monitoring the situation with the England midfielder at Borussia Dortmund, and that it's possible that a move to Liverpool may materialise before the start of next season. The 18-year-old moved to Borussia Dortmund, of course, last year from Birmingham, and despite his age, has really grown and is one of the most promising midfield talents for both the present and the future, representing Dortmund constantly and consistently throughout his debut season in the Bundesliga, and also playing in the Champions League as well. He's definitely caught the eye of many, even from his Birmingham days, but since his move to Germany, he's of course grown and elevated his level and is seemingly a very consistent performer, and has also caught the eye of many people, getting into the England squad and getting high praise from managers like Pep Guardiola, who joked that he may even be lying about his age because he's just that good. So very much high praise there. We all know about Jude Bellingham from his time in Birmingham, to how highly rated he was, to then obviously going on to play at a bigger stage at a bigger club considerably in Dortmund. But as of right now, like I say, his future is very much up in the air. We know about Dortmund's situation. We know about them being a bit more of a selling club. And we know that obviously Bellingham's long-term future probably won't be with the black and yellow club of the Bundesliga. Like I say, the reports coming out in the past few days seem to suggest that the Liverpool links are heating up, and in my opinion, to be honest, when you look at it, it does kind of make sense that Liverpool would go for someone like this kid. For the most part, Liverpool's midfield is somewhat either aging or not the most reliable in terms of injuries and consistent performers, and it could do with some freshening up, and of course Bellingham would certainly do that, and he would tick all of them boxes. And I think that overall it would be a fantastic signing, but whether Liverpool can of course get that over the line or not, or whether these reports are genuine and legit, we don't know. We know that obviously Klopp and Liverpool are big fans, but whether something will materialise, it's still a long way off from anything actually happening. We know that if the money is right, Dortmund will sell. We know that they are a selling club. They're the team that elevate young players to the spotlight. We know that they buy small and they sell big, and it's happened time and time again. There's a bit of a cycle over there with Dortmund. It happened this past summer, of course, with Jadon Sancho. It's likely to happen next summer with Erling Haaland in particular. And of course, I suspect that Jude Bellingham will be next in line to, of course, leave the German club. Maybe after Haaland, maybe even before Haaland, of course, like I say, if the money is right. Liverpool are supposedly interested. I imagine a lot of other clubs are interested too, but we know of Liverpool as of right now. And despite obviously Dortmund's reluctance, They'll be likely to lose Haaland next summer, but they could also lose Bellingham as well. But with Bellingham's contract not expiring until 2025, Dortmund do have that element of any kind of deal that may be discussed about going in their favour. So Dortmund can hold out on the contract thing, as it's not going to be up for another 4 years. Of course, like I say, there's a long way to go before we reach the big transfer window next summer, maybe even in January. Highly unlikely, but anything and everything is certainly possible and can happen between now and then, of course. But we wait and see on the future of one Jude Bellingham. He is definitely a name that if you don't know by now, you should definitely look out for in the future. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the news stories that I talked about in this video? What do you make of today's Premier League action? What do you make of any of the results and any of the performances and goals that you saw today? Or any of the red cards, actually. There were a couple flying around in the Premier League today. What do you make of Ronaldo's return, so on and so forth? And what do you make of the links linking Jude Bellingham with a move to Liverpool? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comments section, because I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. I will see you all again soon in another video.